We are only 2 weeks into the season, and there are already a lot of opinions going around. Some of them are fun, some of them are stupid, and some of them are just hot take theater. Take the Pacers. Here's the part there is no doubt about. Indiana has been a really nice surprise. Did you see Victor Oladipo hit this step-back three to beat the Spurs the other night? I mean, nice, right? That helped Oladipo win Player of the Week honors on Monday. Oh, and then last night, the Pacers turned around and beat the Kings by nearly 20. Domantas Sabonis has been dominating while starting for the injured Miles Turner. He had 9 rebounds in the first quarter alone. Which brings us to the hot takes surrounding the Pacers, especially those two guys I just mentioned. Oladipo and Sabonis, of course, arrived through the Paul George trade, and with both of them playing so well, I have actually seen headlines like, maybe the Pacers won the Paul George trade after all. Look, I've liked Victor's play since I got to see it up close, broadcasting some of his NCAA tournament games, and I am thrilled he is doing so well in Indy. But the idea that you've now won a trade by having him instead of Paul George on your roster is ludicrous. Why is the only way to say that a player has been good is to favorably compare him to the guy he was dealt for? Why do we keep insisting on only evaluating players through the prism of a trade? How about we just acknowledge sometimes that a player comes into a new environment, and whether it's comfort or usage or roster balance or whatever, he can flower in a way he couldn't before. You know, Michael Phelps is one of the best swimmers of all time, partly because of his dedication and work ethic that would have transferred anywhere, but partly also because he has these oversized feet that function like flippers, and he's got a high lung capacity that perfectly suits him to his sport. If Michael Phelps' mom had put him into basketball, let's say, instead of swimming, I mean, he probably would have been good enough to be, I don't know, a nice college player, earned a scholarship, but maybe that's it, right? Instead, she put him in a pool, and now he's the most decorated Olympian of all time. Sometimes the environment you're in can determine to what degree your best qualities can come out. So go ahead, talk about how just a nice fit the new guys are in Indiana. It's a fun storyline, and that should be good enough on its own. Tracy, you played for a few teams, and it was different, right? Depending on what environment you were in, how did it bring out different things in you?
Well, as a teenager, obviously playing behind Vince Carter was a different role than what I, endured in Orlando. I was a third option in Toronto. Usage rate wasn't that high, probably, averaged 8 to 10 shots a game. And I was kind of held back a little bit, but rightfully so because of who I was playing behind. When I got to Orlando, usage rate went up. Everything was, circled around me for me to carry the team. And it was just a different opportunity for me. I mean, the opportunity was different than Toronto and Orlando. And it's the same way with Victor. I was, not there to play with an alpha male. Mm-hmm. Grant Hill got hurt, so it was all on my shoulders. Last year, he was there with Russell Westbrook, and we all know that playing with Russ is not that easy. Now he goes to Indiana, where there's no real dominant figure there as far as personality, and he's pretty much the best player on this team, and the coaches believe in him, the team is rallying around him, and his game is coming out.
It has, and I totally agree with what Tracy is saying, that sometimes when players get opportunities like that, it just opens up a different part of their game. And now he has an opportunity to lead a basketball team that's young, guys respect who he is, and they are really catering and running the offense through him. And I had an opportunity to do that in my career, the 2 years that Michael left the game.
Right.
And it really give you a perspective of a different player, because now all the players really sort of cater to you as a player. They look for you to lead them offensively as well as defensively. So you can see what opportunity can do for you in this league.
And what part of your game you should emphasize? You were talking before the show about how much you felt like you had to be this lockdown defender early, right?
Yeah, you do. And I think for me, it opened up a lot of things about my game, because I realized that I was better in a lot of areas that I was never able to explore, because I played with the great Michael Jordan, who would always, take on probably the greatest offensive player on the opposing team. So when Michael left, I had an opportunity to sort of put that on my shoulders as, to stop the Reggie Millers, to stop guys like Dominique. So it was challenging, but it was something that I felt like I had embraced because I grew into it.
You know what? I was in that similar role. I was a defensive stopper when I was with Toronto. Vince was a scorer, as we all know. I would consider myself as a Scottie Pippen, a Grant Hill type player. But when I got to Orlando, I didn't know I had capabilities of scoring 25 or 30 points a night.
That's fascinating to me.
I didn't know I had that type of ability. I didn't. I thought I was going to be.
You just held back.
Yeah, I didn't know that.
He can't take Vince 25 shots away from him.
Most guys at least feel like, oh, I could be a scorer. That wasn't even in your mind frame in that way.
No, because the way I got on the floor, I had to defend.
Right.
Right.
So, and then became a 2-time NBA scoring
Shouldn't have
champion.
came out of high
So
school.
there's there.
That
We can
move.
get into that later.